Hello, everyone. Dr. Evelyn here from the Pet Nutrition Doctor. And as part of our series to discuss some of the wonderful products that are in our holiday health giveaway, I have the honor today to have Gleb Oleinik of Milk Pet Foods with us today. Gleb is one of the co-founders of Milk Pet Foods. He originally hails from Odessa, Ukraine, so a little bit far from home. He's a Colorado University Boulder alumnus and spent 10 years working in software engineering and consulting before becoming an entrepreneur. He currently splits his time between growing and managing milk, exploring the Boulder foothills by bike, and being a cat dad to a boisterous gray tabby. So welcome. So I have to ask you, Gleb, how do you transition from computer engineering and consulting or software engineering to making pet food?
So it all started with my cat. Basically, from the day that I adopted my cat, he was on a diet of dry kibble, and that went on for a couple of years. And in those years, he had a lot of various health issues. Chronic dehydration essentially was the root of everything. At one point, he was bleeding pee, or he was peeing blood, sorry. So we had to take him into the vet. The vet informed us he was developing crystals in his urinary tract. And that essentially he'd have to stop eating kibble and go on a wet food diet from now on. But the drawbacks of commercial wet food became immediately evident. The food is really smelly, both before the cat eats it, but especially afterwards. His stool just became unbearably bad as soon as we switched him to a 100% wet diet. Another issue was all the packaging waste that was resulting. We were going from like 3 to 4 or 5 single-use containers per day. And that, if you're feeding that 100% of the time, that builds up really fast.
Yeah,
so we weren't too happy about that. And then another concern was really just the amount of preservatives and just the question of what was really in some of that wet food.
Sometimes hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah. So that motivated us to start home cooking for my cat. And as soon as we did that, we immediately saw the benefits of home cooking. It was like he was a different cat. He had way more energy. His stool odor went from being unbearable to not even noticeable. Like we really couldn't even smell it in the litter box. So that was just an amazing improvement. His eye wax disappeared. His coat got a lot more luxurious and shiny and soft. So there's just so many benefits to this home cooked diet. My girlfriend and I were just mind blown at this. And we thought, everyone's pet should have access to this. There's really no reason that dry kibble and the commercial wet food we were trying is the dominant form of pet food. So that's what motivated us to start a company. We thought people here in Boulder would be very much on the same page. And from the outset, we wanted to not only provide freshly cooked meals to pets, but we wanted to do so in a sustainable way to address that packaging problem. So that's why for all of our Boulder customers, we deliver in 100% reusable containers.
That's awesome. I love that. When you talk about the change that you saw in your cat, I see that in my patients too, because I do create individualized diets for some of my patients that have medical issues. It's symptoms that seem unrelated, right? Just like what you were talking about. The change in the odor of the stool is not as surprising, although I think a lot of people just get used to that and think, oh, that's just a cat stool. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it absolutely is not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big one. And we do see other big changes when we switch over to a real whole food. And I had this conversation with somebody else recently where, somehow we get this impression that pets can handle lower quality ingredients and lower quality foods and be just fine. It's like they've got some magic power or something that they can tolerate a food that we couldn't. And that's just kind of a silly thing that has become part of our belief system.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And I love the fact that you use sustainable. The sustainability is a huge part of it, and I think that's something that we all need to think about. And from from the standpoint of the environment, I think it's a daily choice that we need to think about. What are we doing? What are we purchasing? And what's our waste? What is the company that we're working with doing in terms of maintaining or helping the environment? And I know, milk is an interesting name for your company. I know that there's no dairy in it. So if you want to explain how you came up with that name, because I think it is amazing.
Yeah. So there's two facets to it. We already touched on the first one, the reusable packaging component. And so milk kind of alludes to the milkman delivering your milk in glass jars, collecting the old ones. And that's how our company started as well, delivering glass jars of pet food to our customers in Boulder.
That's
Um,
great. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't remember those days. I do. I remember the milkman coming, and like once or twice a week, they would come and just drop off the milk and pick up the old bottles and
yeah,
go clean them out and reuse them. And
yeah,
there's no waste. It's a very sustainable, probably more cost effective for you as well because you don't have
yeah.
to keep buying all the packaging. So what a wonderful opportunity, and you're right, Boulder is a great place to start it, but I think it's something that can take off everywhere.
Yeah.
And so now you're not just delivering in Boulder, right? You're delivering elsewhere.
Yeah. At the moment, we do ship across Colorado and states around Colorado, from California to Texas, and Michigan, I believe, is about as far east as we're going right now. So yeah, so we're definitely expanding outside of Boulder, and we are obviously, to those more far off customers, delivering glass jars is not as much of an option, but we are experimenting with some options with customers shipping back their old packaging to us so that we can reuse it. So we're hoping to find a solution.
It is definitely a challenge when you're shipping something frozen like this. I've seen different ways of doing it, but the way this food is, it's not like you can just make a frozen patty and have it hold together. It's
Yeah,
just a little bit different. So um, that's great. I love that that's part of your mission, and that's one of the reasons that I have aligned with you. As when I'm choosing companies to work with, it's quality of product, it's their attention to environmental impact. That those are the two big things that I really look for.
we definitely appreciate that you're on the same page with us.
Yeah.
So,
So I know that you have some new formulas coming out. Do you want to talk about those?
yeah, so these are the recipes that you helped us develop. We've got a new beef, a chicken, a salmon, and a turkey. Those are our four proteins that we're rolling out. And these recipes, I feel, are a huge step forward in terms of the product we're offering. The main difference from our previous offerings is that these ones contain no vitamin or mineral additives, which we had required in the previous iterations. So that means now our food is even simpler ingredients, even simpler recipe, just more wholesome, and really just much like the food that you and I would eat for our meals. Not much difference from human grade home cooked food, other than the ingredients are carefully chosen and balanced to provide pets with all the nutrition they need on a daily basis. But again, without the use of any additives like most other foods have.
And that's fantastic. And I think that that's a really big thing when you're using whole food ingredients. We shouldn't need to add synthetic vitamins and minerals. And a lot of times when I talk to people about looking at a label, and especially it's the dry foods are probably the worst, but you can really tell the quality of ingredients by the long list of synthetic nutrients that they have to put in there just to create something that's fully balanced.
Yeah.
But for this diet, we don't need to do that. So that's fantastic. And then there are not very many whole food diets out there that are balanced for puppies. And
Mhm.
so that beef diet is nice because I've had a few clients again say, I've got a puppy, I want to start it on a good balanced whole food diet, but I don't know where to find it. And this one is fully balanced so that can be used for the puppies, which is really nice. It's nice to
Yeah,
have those options there.
absolutely. We're very happy to be able to offer a puppy diet that's completely free of synthetic additives.
And I guess just to wrap this up, if you could just tell us something interesting or fun about you or Stella, who actually helps to put those diets together, or the company in general.
Yeah, so I can share a tidbit about milk and how we do things in our kitchen. So the main driving force behind milk has always been to serve pets food that we'd be happy to serve to ourselves or our families, because pets are our families. And that's reflected in the fact that we use nothing but human grade ingredients in our kitchen. no heavy processing. And essentially that's why we're making home cooked meals for pets. One thing that highlights this is in our kitchen, our employees regularly eat our leftovers as their own meals. So
I love that.
yeah, so it's not just a saying, but we really are eating our own product. That's how much confidence we have in it, and that's why we make it.
That's great. It kind of turns the table, right? It's usually the dogs that get the leftovers, but here
Yeah.
it's the people that get the leftovers,
Yeah.
and I love that. That's a great story. So thank you so much for sharing that. In our holiday giveaway, we're going to be offering 3 free meals to be delivered directly to your door. So you can try it out. You can pick whatever flavor you want. And I know that you'll love it. And I know that your dog or cat is going to love it as well. So thank you so much, Gleb, for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate everything that you and Stella are doing for our pets and for the environment.
No, well, thanks for having me, Dr. Evelyn. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for your support and your help in this endeavor.